Hey, folks, welcome to the Mental Health Warriors. I am your host, Mary Nixonhahn. I'm doing my actual first podcast with a guest. Pretty exciting. Today I have with me Trish Happens. Trish is we just introduced each other to ourselves within the last month or so. And so at this point, I'm going to let Trish introduce herself and what she's all about.
Hi, everyone. Trish Happens here. I am very excited to be a part of the show. I also run a live show on relationship woes and woe here in Canada. I also have a business, Unlimited Blue Sky Consulting, and I work a lot with Aboriginal communities and helping them get through traumas, post-traumatic stress disorders, just working through and growing through. And I also work with corporate offices. It's a new part of my business, and just changing the workplace and helping everybody belong. I'm also a mother of a son who is high functioning autism, but I'm helping him, or I've helped him work and live through those labels.
Oh, well, I too as well have sons on the spectrum, so I totally understand where you're coming from. Trish, tell us a little bit more about how you help your son with autism and what different things you do with him and how to get him motivated or focused on different topics and stuff that he's interested in.
Oh, for sure. It's a lot of listening. And listening at like always, because sometimes you'll be driving. I find driving with my son helps open him up a lot. Like we'll just go for a drive and suddenly he'll start talking about things or issues that he may be going through and just put it out there. We meet once a week now, and he is getting prepared for university, which is a big deal for him. I was once told my son would not make it through high school with a regular high school diploma. I didn't believe that. I knew my son. And that's the thing. When we listen to our children, we really get to know them, and we get to know their needs and understand how can we facilitate that for them. And that was the beginning of our journey. He was diagnosed at 11 years old. And it made sense. It made sense that he just thought differently. Not that he was different, he just thought differently. And helping him to understand his thoughts and process through them and be able to articulate his feelings and his words were a really big deal. So yeah, that was the beginning of things.
Was your son nonverbal to begin with, or was he more of the high functioning?
Oh, he was nonverbal. When we would check with him on the markers, like the traditional markers, if you will, of where they should be and whatnot. Matthew, or my son, didn't fall in, like, wasn't meeting the markers. There were so many things he was excelling at, but verbally, not so much. And it took a little bit longer. We went through a lot of screams and outbursts of him expressing himself and helping him find the words to those tears, helping him find the words to those screams, helping him find the words to that anger, helping him find that word to that, that joy also, like finding the words to that love, right? And helping him to express himself or learn how to express himself.
My 19-year-old is in that phase where he's really starting to express himself. The thing I have is he has like zero personal space. He's 2 inches from your face, and he's reinforcing himself to you. And you can say, okay. Finally, you have to just kind of be firm. I got it. I get it. So yeah, I think you and I have kids pretty much in the same realm and stuff as far as age brackets go. And so, yeah, I have to giggle because he literally 5 minutes before I came in here to get on my laptop was positive reinforcing that we're going to do something today. And I'm like, I get it. I said, do you realize I have shows every 2 hours today? So, yeah. So, yeah, the positive reinforcement is like, ooh, it's just like, I need my space. So, what does your son do?
Well, he works in a kitchen. That's his part-time job. He is very visual. So he was able to he started off as a dishwasher, and then started working on the second table and then being a second chef. So I was really proud of him in his advancement because he pays attention. He's very detail orientated. And then he decided he wanted to go back to university. So we're going through preparations for that. One of the things I'm not sure if many people are aware is transitioning doesn't stop at like from childhood. It's a continuum, right? With Matthew, I'm transitioning and moving, having him move in with me, and we're separated. So dad's passing the baton, if you will. And so it's taken, several conversations, and then, okay, when is this happening? What day is this happening? He goes through that process and has to understand that. So we're going through the transitioning of me moving in. So, and then also we'll be going through that of him starting school. So we're starting off with 2 courses, just so he can get his foot in the door. He's been out of school for a couple of years. He's 20. So it's been 2 years since he graduated, and he graduated 82%, like with,
Nice.
right? Like full diploma and everything. I was so proud of him. I'm so proud of him still. And, I let him know that he can dream and he can accomplish these dreams. And even that is a continuum of conversations. It's just like, okay, he tends to look at the big picture. And so I have to break things down for him and put them into digestible bites. Well, this is what these steps are going to look like. So this week we're going to focus on these steps, right? Like he's getting his driver's license. He's failed twice. And, instead of looking at the failure, we look at okay, let's look at the success of that. You gained 50% of the knowledge on that. This time you gained, 55%. We just need a little bit more. And it's just repeat and repeat. So he's going for his third time. Third time's the charm. I actually failed the first 3 times of my driver's license. So he's like, oh, okay. So just having those relatables help.
I can kind of go through that with you. My second son, who's 24, he literally he carried his permit till like 2 weeks before it actually expired. And I don't know if it's different in Canada, but here in the USA, they have a practice test that you can take. And so Wyatt was always on the practice test. And everywhere we went, he would drive. Well, he ended up passing on his first time, but he goes, the guy that was teaching me, we have roundabouts here. He told me he could have failed me, but he goes, roundabouts are tough, so I'm going to let you go this time. So now I literally only drive, like I have a meeting later tonight that I actually have to go out of my house for. So yeah, I totally understand how the driving part of it can be overwhelming, especially the written part, because they make you take the written part before you drive. And Wyatt was like, I got the written part. I almost failed the driving part. So yes, I can understand where you're coming from on the driving end of it. So, so Trish, tell me, with not just with your son, but with yourself, how do you guys work on mental health, and how do you guys stay healthy in that area as far as, self-care, your mental health and stuff like that?
Well, you know what? One of the biggest things I'm grateful to be in the KNOW of is when we're in action, we allow our bodies to step into this wonderful place of logic, right? Because we've got our dopamines, the oxytocin, serotonins, and everything just, firing through our body. That's great for sorry, that's how do I turn that off? Sorry. That's great, for, the average person. For my son, it not only fires things up for him, but it gets him into over-processing, overthinking, overstimulating. And so when we do exercising or walks or something like that, we also have to have a come down period. A regular self-care day is actually a lot of work for us. And I'm always continually taking Matthew through that, like my son through that, and helping him to understand, okay, you've just gotten your body all full charge. And the other thing that seems to have begun helping is I put him on a supplement, and it is amazing. It is taking him through everything on a calmer level. His recharge is so different. Like his concentration. He recognizes the difference. But you're talking about space. My son would always come right up in front of me and like, Mom, we got to do this. And I'm like, okay, hang on a sec. Take a step back. Let's take a breath, right? And just help him process just the space for a moment. And then we get into a conversation. Now he keeps like a good, I would say, an arm's length from me, and he'll put his hand on my shoulder. And it's, he still have to have that touch, right? And you're like, Mom. And I'm like, yes, Babins. And he's like, okay, so I was thinking about this. And then he'll start sharing. And we no longer have to go to the beach to do that as often as we used to. It's becoming more in the now, which is a big deal, right? Helping him to step into that understanding has been a huge thing. And being in the now instead of being in a situation that he got stuck in a couple of weeks ago or even a month ago, right? He'll still process through that until he gets to that place of, okay, I've talked about it. I understand it. I can let it go, right? Now it's more true time, if you will, that we're processing through things, which is fantastic. He's sleeping better, which is a big deal for my son. Like we've had to turn off the power. Like I know that sounds crazy, but it's actually helpful. So it's a lot of resetting that goes on, resetting of the stove clock, the microwave clock, things like that. And reason being is because when the house has a certain energy, you can even hear it when you have something plugged in, right? You can hear that. That affects him. That affects him to like when he's trying to calm down. When it's a busy day, he doesn't even pay attention to it. But when he's trying to calm down, power box gets turned off, right? We have to keep the alarm one on. So we have to manually click everything else off. Because other than that, it sets off, the thing with the fire department, blah, 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 because it's an apartment, right? So those are certain things that we do to help him just with the self-care, with calming down, with, just being present and meditating, like just meditating in, okay, this is what quiet feels like. This is what peace feels like, right? Helping him to identify that, because these are things we take for granted. And when you don't know what those are, because your mind is always busy, it's a lot to help a person slow down and process and understand more than anything. Yeah.
I know a lot of times when John comes home, John does what we call Independence Academy, which is extended high school, and he'll be heading into his second year. But when he comes home from that 4 or 5 hours where he's away from home, he takes an hour just to decompress, because I know when you're in a routine and he calls it his job and stuff, when you're in that routine, he's so probably like Matthew, where he's so focused, and it's like, you've got to stay focused. But then when he comes home, he literally has an hour of don't mess with me, or he'll grab his tablet, because he still watches cartoons. I'm cool with, because quite frankly, I still watch cartoons. I think growing up is a trap sometimes.
Yes, I'll agree. I'm done adulting.
And so he spends that time, and then when he's done, he'll do like your son does. He'll come out and he'll just literally sit and hold my arm, because you and I both know we're their comfort zone.
Yes.
We're their advocate. We're teaching them to be advocates. My 2 other sons are huge advocates for themselves, because I have 3 sons on the spectrum as well as myself. So, he's becoming more and more like his own advocate, but he relies on us to show him how to continually be an advocate for himself. So For you as an advocate, what do you do for your self-care and your mental health?
Oh, goodness gracious. Walking for me, like I take an extra walk aside from the walks that I have for my son, because for me, it allows me just to numb, just to, like you mentioned, decompress, just kind of let everything go. I'm free of my responsibilities. And not that I have any, I'm saying that in a way of regrets or, resentments in any way, shape or form. It's just a lot. And I need to remember that and take care of myself. I have to remind my ex-husband of that too, because he gets very caught up in it and has his own expectations of our son. And I need to remind him that, okay, we need to meet him where he is. That's not treating him differently. It's accepting, right? It's accepting where he's at, how he operates, and going with that. And when we're in that place of understanding, it's an amazing day. It's an amazing week. It's an amazing month, right? And keeping myself like well rested, watered, nutrients. Again, I'm a big advocate for PXP Royale. Like if anybody wants to know any information about that, I'll, leave a link or something like that within Zacta, or like check out cedanswers.com, and it'll take you through a series of questions to help you understand where you may need to address. And for me, anxiety was a big deal. Sleep was a big deal. I went through a lot of fad diets, diabetes, because of not sleeping right and being very anxious, if you will, trying to be the mediator with my husband and my son, trying to be the advocate for my son in school, trying to, make sure he's involved in sports, make sure I'm paying attention to the other kids and everything like that. I didn't put any time for me. And I stepped into this place of obesity and was 210 pounds, being told if I didn't change things, I was going to be on insulin for life. And then I started doing research and checking things out, and tried a few fad diets, which actually caused me more harm than anything. And then came across this. Allergies was a big deal. We're in we just passed allergy season. I would wake up and sneeze like 10 times before a cup of coffee. Red eyes, and I felt like I was walking around like a stoner. All the time, puffiness and everything. I'm like, it's allergies. Or now with the whole COVID and everything, and you sneeze that many times out in public, it's like, it's allergies. Right? And I haven't done that. So, I'm sleeping well. And I'm feeling very, those oxytocins and everything are regenerating through my system naturally. I'm loving it. I really am. It's changed our lives like you can't even imagine.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I kind of know some folks in that area, and I'm reaching out to them. And I don't know about you, but there are days where I just have problems asking for help. It's one of those things where, I have a great husband. He's a great support system. I have my middle son, but when I'm struggling, I forget that it's okay to ask for help.
Yes. It's necessary. It's necessary to ask for help. I completely understand that. I think women across the, both countries, all over the world understand that comment right there is asking for help, because we're the go-tos, we're the bridge, we're the advocates, we're the boo-boo kissers and Band-Aid coverers. Like it starts very young, all the way, up to where's my glasses as we have them on our
or where's my phone, as you have it in your hand and you're using it.
Let me get my flashlight out. I'll help you find it. I've looked for my phone with my flashlight in my vehicle on my phone. I hear you.
You see, I think I'm kind of blessed. If anybody if anybody can't find their phone in our home, we do still have a landline, so we'll be calling that phone and be like, "Where is it at?" Well, it don't do no good, Trish, when it's on silent.
Oh, yeah, like not at all, right? Like, and so like we get full because we're doing a lot, and anybody who does have mental health and is taking care of children who are on the spectrum of any sort. And I mean, the reality of life is we're all on that spectrum, and whether it be a sliver, a slice, or, you know, the pie, right? And that was a big awakening for me. And that was a big freeing understanding for me, because I took my son's diagnosis to heart, and I took it to the core. And I believe I even like started processing through my mind, what did I eat, did I have an alcohol beverage during that time frame, or, you know, all of these things went through my mind. And it really caused a lot of duress. And so I spent a lot of time trying to fix things. And so asking for help wasn't part of the equation at all. It was just like, what else can I do? What else can I do? What else can I do? And then I find when we get educated, like, this is an amazing, amazing platform. I'm so excited to be a part of it and to know that it exists, because more of these need to happen. I live in BC, and we have the BC Autism. And I'm very grateful to be a part of that community, because what it does, like, up until my son's 18th birthday, they provided funding for me to be able to hire tutors and everything like that. And that helped him become the success that he is today, right? It was a lot of work, because I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. It's exhausting. It's maddening. It's this. And I feel like this, or I feel like that. And we'd have to go through an evening of unpacking his feelings and such like that, and then get him to that place of understanding that, okay, now we're going to take this next step. You're going to go in to see the counselor, or you're going to go in to see like the school counselor for his courses, right? And what that looks like. So there's always preparatory work. So it all comes back to, like, when you mention self-care, I'm, you know, I no longer feel selfish when I step into my self-care, because I know how much work goes into everything with one child on the spectrum, right? And having these supports and reaching out and being able to read, you know, information about what other families are going through, and having relatable. Sometimes just having that one relatable on a stressful day gets me through everything.
Sounds like you have company.
Meter man just went by.
Yeah, I totally understand, you know, and I kind of get giggles every now and then, because I schedule my self-care, and people are
Yes.
like, what do you read? So I might get up early, and I've had allergies, so I go and exercise even harder. And I actually, it might be 80 degrees outside, but I'm wearing a stocking hat because I want that extra sweat, because I'm trying to get rid of all the congestion and stuff in my throat and stuff, because,
Yeah.
you know, so until I uh, jump into your other group and stuff and trying to get that all figured out, I'm trying to clear everything up and stuff, but I schedule it first thing in the morning. And then, like today, I have a pretty solid routine with every 2 hours, and I don't schedule anything in between, because you never know. Okay, what if we run longer here, or what if we, you know, go over and I don't have time? But I try not to crowd my space either. So if I have a couple extra hours, I'm either going to finish up some emails. I'm not going to put another broadcast in between you and I, and then the one I have at 2 p.m. my time, because I need that moment. And I probably need to eat some lunch, because, you know, we as caregivers forget to eat too. And so, you know, I literally will schedule just 15 minutes throughout my day, as well as my hour in the morning. And so it's something that I've learned to do, and it's become necessary.
And you know what? Thank you for sharing that, because that's exactly how Matthew is set up. Is that self-care time? Is that time where he knows what's coming up? Because, as I mentioned earlier, for him, transitioning is an ongoing thing. And when he visually sees his calendar, I got like 30 minutes for that. Yeah, we got 30 minutes, you know. And I'll even go in and mention those kind of things when we're going to be doing something together. I'll message him if I'm out of the house, and he'll message right away, letting me know that, okay, Mom, you know, I'm on it. I'm already doing this. So it repetition, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat for him. Right. And I find working as, like, I was a clinician level 1 in Edmonton and working with children with behaviors and helping them find the words to their frustrations, helping them be able to express themselves to their own parents, right? And then helping the parents meet them where they're at and understand. Because I think a lot, like myself, and like my ex-husband, he had these expectations. We have expectations as parents. That's an automatic. But when they match the child needs, there's a greater success. There's a greater reward in living, quality living, as opposed to stress, trying to put everybody in one handbasket. It doesn't work. I have 4 sons. They're all very different, from extremely emotional to prickly to, we call him the philosopher king because he's, just researches all these amazing anecdotes and stuff, and we'll share this. Did you know? And he'll start, spouting off like Napoleon Hill and stuff like that. And then we have Matthew, right?
Right. Yeah. And I like what you said earlier. You let your kids teach you. That is something I've really just grasped onto the last 5 years, is watching our kids, because in all reality, regardless of the age, they teach you what you need to know about them. But the real question is, are we paying attention?
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah.
It's incredible when we do. Like, I was a working single mom for many years with my older 3. So missing out on all of those fundamentals, and then getting remarried, having a child, fast forward to, like I was blessed to be able to stay home and love on him, for the first few years and stuff like that. And then watching him, like, through his struggles, like, he would draw a lot, and I didn't realize how come he drew so much until I sat down beside him. I'm like, baby, what are you drawing over here? He goes, this little boy right here was at the playground and he went and pushed me, and the story would come out. And now we were able to deal with the situation that he was harboring, right? And not, allowing him to identify the feelings, identify how he could have handled the situation differently even, right? We also pointed out how that boy could handle things different, and what could he do if something like that happened again. So there was a lot of role playing that happened too, right? Like, I'm that little boy and I'm going to push you down the slide. What are you going to say to me? Stop, or I'm going to tell the principal, right? Things like that. I mean, he's just a little child at that time. And then transitioning and moving forward, and, those writings became verbal shares, right? See, like, these are important things. When we miss them, we miss the opportunity to help them help themselves.
Right. And my son John's a little bit different. He's more than happy to go help everybody. He literally is somebody that he's a lot like his mom, hey, let me help you do this. Let me help you do this. And he's so into his routine that he forgets to ask that somebody doesn't necessarily need the help, but he's going to show you how to do it, whether you want it. So we had to actually take him and step him back and say, when they say no, that's the final word, and you need to walk away.
Yeah.
Getting him to walk away. He's, he can be overbearing, but he's also very empathetic, which is something else autistic children are told that they don't have. But I think, honestly, they are way more empathetic than anybody that I ever know. And even watching some of my friends' kids, and it's like, these kids have more empathy in one finger than some people do in their whole bodies.
100%. And it's so true. And you know what? As little empaths, that's what I call them. As little empaths, we also have to help them unpack those little feelings, because they carry a lot of them, right? They attempt to own responsibility for other people's feelings. And it's helping, like, I spend that a lot. My son will he's like attempting dating. That's a whole different world, and helping him to understand where he ends and where his girlfriend, ends, and where they meet, right? Him not going overboard to, do everything for her, save her. And I love that he's a little romantic, and it's like, okay, hang on. You weren't supposed to grow up yet.
Yeah. My oldest son is married and we have 2 grandkids. So
Oh, that's so beautiful.
I understand that, but my middle son's like, he's a video games fanatic. Yeah, he's a collector of many little replicas of different kinds of guns, and and that's cool. That's his preference, and he also is an artist. So he's a little more of the yeah, whatever works. But he does a lot of communicating through Facebook and Messenger. And if he has an issue with somebody, he's very very diligently goes over to the do not follow anymore. He's not like his mom. I'll give him 10 or 12 chances, and about 2, and it's like unfollow. He's done with them. And then my youngest son, he's learning to express the emotions. I don't like to see him cry because he cries crocodile tears and they're big, and he has that so sad face when he's crying, and I'm like, oh, I can't do this. So each one of my kids are at different levels, but I my middle son is my one that's just like, yeah, I'm good with where I'm at. So
Not in a rush. Yeah. Oh, I hear you.
no, he's definitely not in a rush. So all right, well, I am going to give you a chance to give yourself one more shout out before we call it a day, because like I said, I got to get a snack in between now and 2:00. It's my time. So how do people get a hold of you? And if there's a link or anything we can get a hold of, we'll tag it with the replay of the video, and we'll go from there.
Oh, fantastic. I appreciate this opportunity. And hi, everybody out there. This is such an incredible platform. It just makes me so happy to see more awareness happening, more sharing of how do we do what we do when we're working with children who are on the spectrum and they're being seen as their label versus who they are. I've been a big advocate for my son in helping the world to conform to him instead of him conform to the world. And I'm so grateful that I have, because I have a confident, amazing young man who, still goes through his struggles. But when we get back to following things on the schedule and helping him through, we have a really good day. Right. And I focus on that day as opposed to trying to forecast what's down the road type of thing. Living in the now. Working with my son, and I've had another child go through some mental health breakdowns and issues, if you will. And that brought me into this understanding of how many people go through this struggle. And I started a business called Unlimited Blue Sky. And it's to help remote communities, I should really say, through and to and through their traumas and stuff like that. A lot of remote areas don't have the resources that they need, so I'm able to fill as many as 25 seats on a Zoom and provide workshops and then help them through and help them grow, and have been called back to a few communities, and I'm very grateful about that. Again, that's www.unlimitedbluesky.ca. And I also do a live TikTok every Sunday, 2 p.m. Pacific time. And that's Relationship Woes or Woe, because we have a lot of people struggling in their nows, and their relationships are taking a toll. And we're experiencing the highest divorce rates in ever since COVID had started. So trying to, provide platforms like this to help people get through and grow and glow. So thank you very much for all of this. I'm also a huge advocate, which is also on my webpage. You can check for the health component, which is the PXP Royale. It really helps people through their struggles, especially my child went through a lot of seizures. When children have seizures, they have a lot of cells that break down, and you wonder how to repair these or how to help them get through. And that has been the biggest factor in my son's life. And I've secured a lot of funding for children with autism, parents with children who have autism, to be able to access funding for that here in BC, and Aboriginal families as well, because I understand it's difficult to have that extra, but it's such an investment, and my son wouldn't be starting university this September if we hadn't stumbled upon this great find, and it's helped him become a better version of him, helped me become a better mom to him, because I get this thing called rest.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity, and each and every one of you for being a part of the show just by viewing, listening, sharing. Yeah. And thank you, Mary. This is fantastic. You're just amazing.
Well, I thank you for being willing to come on. I couldn't have asked for a better first guest. And, we could probably talk about this all day, but I know both of us have stuff going on.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and end the show. Don't log off yet. I would continue to talk to you. All right.
Okay. Thank you. Bye, everyone.